Tonight, two scenarios, two episodes of Democrats trying to do something. Episode 1, civil disobedience, or just plain uncivil. House Democrats repurposing a protest song to protest on the House floor.
Representative Al Green be censured with public reading of this resolution by the Speaker. The House had come to order. The House had come to order.
Episode 2, clever or cringe? House Democrats cribbing a actually very old TikTok trend.
Choose your character.
Joining us in our fifth seat at the table, Democratic Congresswoman Marilyn Strickland of Washington State. She's the secretary of the Congressional Black Caucus and whip for the new Democrat coalition. Congresswoman, that TikTok trend, I don't even know where to begin. I'm not sure why this is necessary. I mean, there is like serious stuff happening in this country, but that seems to be just inviting ridicule.
So when you think about TikTok as a trend, we are trying to reach out to different people and different voters. And the woman who produced this is an influencer with 7 million followers. So this is lighthearted, it's fun. And every time you do something creative, you're going to get criticism, right? But I actually applaud them for trying to do something different. And here's the reality. 7 million followers, whether you think it's cringe or you like it, we're on CNN on a Thursday night, and we're talking about it on national TV.
But I guess my question is, to what end? I don't get it. Like, I don't get it. I mean, maybe you will get 7 million eyeballs, but what is the point?
I am not accustomed to helping your party do anything.
Yep.
But let me give you some advice. This was the dumbest thing I've ever seen. And if you read the comments today, Lord have mercy. Look, scrambling for new social media and communication strategies is not a replacement for fixing what's actually wrong. Your party has a 21% approval rating right now, Congressional Democrats.
Well, let's talk about fixing what's wrong. Donald Trump is doing nothing for the American people.
And he has a 50% approval rating.
But he's doing nothing for the American people.
And so
he's not lowering the cost of living.
Advice
he tells lies.
Fix the policy and leave the gimmicks behind.
Yes, and let's fix policy.
Okay, well, let me finish
I just
want
here.
to let the Congresswoman
absolutely.
respond to that, because I think the underlying, what Scott is saying is this question of the party itself has a trust issue with its own voters, frankly.
Right.
So what is being done about that?
So as we look at trust issues with the Democratic Party, there are a lot of things happening. Remember, the Democratic Party is a very large tent with diverse people. We have people saying, do something. We have some people saying, you've gone too far. We have to stay focused on what is important right now to the American people. President Trump promised to lower the cost of living. He has done none of that. And the Trump administration and Elon Musk are demonstrating one thing with all these random cuts. They don't care if you get sick. They don't care if you get injured. They don't care if you can't pay your bills, and they don't care if you're safe. All these random cuts they're making in all these departments that they don't even hardly know very well are hurting the American people. How is putting veterans out of work lowering the cost of living? How is taking away food from children lowering the cost of living? How is kicking women off of health care who get Medicaid lowering the cost of living? So I know that these things are distractions that we're talking about, but why won't Donald Trump deliver on his promises? Because he lies. That's why. They're doing nothing to support the American people.
Why would or should the American people trust Democrats to lower the cost of living after the last 4 years?
We have created more jobs.
No, cost of living. You brought it up. You said Trump's not delivering. I just want to know why we should trust Democrats who skyrocketed inflation. Why would I trust you?
I don't think it's
why would I trust you?
I don't think it's about you all won.
Yeah.
So now fix it. You said you were going to fix it.
We're doing it for 40 days.
Okay, right.
But you try to take a victory lap for the CHIPS and Science Act, for all these investments coming into the United States. So you're either going to take credit or not. Donald Trump is a president. He promised a lower cost of living. He is cutting jobs across the board from civil servants who have to support their families.
You believe in government jobs. You want more government jobs.
No, actually, I want jobs that actually help people. Do you know what civil servants do? They keep our air clean. They keep our water clean. They keep our food safe. Don't interrupt me.
They take taxpayer money to
You know
fund
what?
the whole thing.
Let me
They also pay taxes.
Yes.
Wait, you're saying they take? Okay,
It takes taxpayer money to fund it.
It does.
But they're employed by
This
the
is the
government.
Democratic
And they're doing
plan.
they are
More
employed.
government.
They are
jobs
employed.
for the American people, and they're not getting rich off of it.
Let's
not forget, yes, Donald Trump and the Republicans won,
Yeah.
but the Democrats severely lost. And you're digging your hole
But
deeper,
you're saying
especially in
severely?
a week. Especially in a week after the debacle of what happened during the president's speech, the embarrassment. I don't know who's creating this strategy, but believe me, no one is getting on board. The Democrats have lost. I would argue the Democrats are far more exclusionary. If you don't agree with them, you're canceled. If you say something inappropriate, you're out. And there's never a coming back in. The Democrats have told the American people, you agree with us,
We're giving them a run for their money these days.
Yeah.
They are giving them a run for their money these days on a whole host of issues. But let me just point this out. This is John Fetterman talking about largely what happened at the joint address in Congress this week. He said that a cavalcade of self-owned and unhinged petulance is how he described his own party. It only makes Trump look more presidential and restrained. We are becoming the metaphorical car alarms that nobody pays attention to, and it may not be the winning message.
So I don't think that John Fetterman is someone that our party should be listening to more broadly. But what I will say is that when it comes to Democrats, you're right. There is a trust issue. Congress's approval rating is in the tank. Right. It is terrible. And I don't think that they should necessarily be the messengers all the time. I completely agree with the Congresswoman. We have an amazing story to tell in the sense that Donald Trump is ruining our country. There are people out there right now that are hurting, and we should be lifting those stories up as much as possible. But I don't think it should be Democrats telling their stories. I think it should be lifting up the stories of people who have been impacted by these policies. I would have loved to have seen the night of the State of the Union, instead of Senator Slotkin having the veteran who lost his job because of DOJ give the address.
Yeah, but we did have people here who were our guests at the joint address who were affected by these cuts. So a lot of people brought veterans here.
Can I just say, I think that we have to hit a reset as a party. Mm-hmm. And I think the thing that is nice about the Democratic Party is that we are the Big Tent party. I actually think that I know you don't agree, that's why you're not a Democrat, but you're welcome. That's why we're a Big Tent.
Right.
So I think in the Republican Party, what I see is that if you disagree with Donald Trump, you get iced, like Nikki Haley, right? There's no place. There is no place if you don't fall in line for Donald Trump. Mm. I think Democrats, I'm not saying we've got it right. I'm not saying we're perfect. I want the party that I have grown up with, that I even at this point in my time am questioning, like, where do I fit in it? To find the authentic voice.
Exactly.
It is not about performance. It is not about that. I want to talk to the people who are in my family, who are my friends, who are hurting in this country, and ask them, what do you need and what do you want from us right now? And then work to develop policies to deliver.
You've been pretty loud about that, and you ignored them. You've lost the African-American vote. You're losing the Latino vote.
We did not lose the African-American vote.
That's misinformation.
92% of black women voted.
Trump did better than any Republican in history.
But that does not mean we lost. We did not. Reframe that.
You are losing the Latino vote because they are leaving you. Why? They don't have to tell you today because they've been telling you for 20 years.
Yes.
And you've ignored them.
And if you listen to the Latino vote right now, they are asking you, why are you deporting their family? They thought that they were going to be the exception to the rule, and they are disappointed in the way the immigration policy is being. So I would just say, don't be so cocky right now. Y'all won. You lost 6 straight years, though, after Donald Trump, to be clear. You got to win. You put a win on the board.
It was clear that he was shutting down the border, and they supported him for it.
And then when you talk to them now, they say, I didn't think it was going to impact me. But it is. Poor people, poor white people are saying, I didn't think the cuts were coming to my farm in Kansas, and now I have silos filled with grain because you closed
the Democrat Party shouldn't be talking about people in poverty. Go to California and you tell me one Republican policy that drove the highest homeless rate, the highest mental health crisis.
I'm not saying
they do
it's
nothing.
perfect.
And there's no Republican policy there. You just look at California. Thank you, Gavin Newsom. You're the biggest pitch man for why the Republican Party cares about results and getting things done, and not just big talk that has failed the folks that backed them for so many years.
Yeah, well, speaking of big talk, I want to go back to the promises that Donald Trump made during the election.
That's right.
I'm going to lower costs. I'm going to make us more safe. Look at what's happening with the Department of Defense, our relationship with NATO, what's happening with the economy, the Dow Jones is sinking like a rock. And so we're talking about economic security, and all the things that are happening because he's turned the keys to the White House over to Elon Trump is the exact opposite. Elon Trump is making cuts in departments that he knows nothing about. That's why he's making cuts and saying, oh, wait, that's not what I meant. Air traffic controllers. There was already a shortage of workers.
Not a single air traffic controller was
They went in
cut.
there.
Not a
They
single
went in
one.
there.
That's
and now
false.
he's actually doing something, saying, oh, wait, please come back.
Totally false.
Congresswoman, since we have you here, I mean, the gist of this is also to talk about what Democrats are
Absolutely.
doing, okay? And we played the TikTok video, but earlier on the House floor, the singing of "We Shall Overcome." Again, coming back to the strategy, what would you like to see actually happen? And is it what you saw today on the House floor?
I mean, what happened on the House floor today was Representative Al Green of Texas was censored. This is a 77-year-old man who has lived through a lot in this country. And when he was speaking out during the joint address, he was saying, you do not have a mandate to cut Medicaid. You do not have a mandate to cut Medicaid, food for children, health care for people, cutting funding for nursing homes for senior citizens. You do not have a mandate to cut Medicaid. That's what he was saying over and over. And he also said one thing, I'm willing to accept the consequences of speaking out like this. So today in the well, when they censored him, and I admit, I voted and I left because I had other meetings, and they were there supporting him. They were singing the song. And I think the main message of doing this was, we are not afraid.
What was in the fundraising emails that went out from the Democratic Party immediately after?
Oh, like you don't do that. Like you don't do that.
Never.
Please.
Wait a second.
Zero.
I mean,
never.
look.
They shaved something and they raised money.
As if. No. Your party.
But your
nice
party.
try, but no.
But don't say that there's consequences.
Your
That was done as a money grab. That's 100% money grab.
Your party.
Governor, I get all the emails, okay?
Oh,
I get
right.
the Democrat
But if you're
emails,
talking
I
about
get the
why that
Republican-
was done, that was
Governor.
clearly why that was done. So
I
they
get
raised some money on
all
it.
the
Tell the truth.
fundraising emails, and they come from your party, and they come from her
Well, they don't
party.
come from Chris Sununu, so
They
can't help
absolutely
you.
do it every possible
every time.
So I don't really think
something.
that's the hill we want to die on.
I feel like
Go
over
ahead,
the last
Scott.
few weeks, there's been numerous instances of Democrats breaking out into song, and all I've been able to discern is that when Democrats are singing, Republicans are winning. I mean, it was a bipartisan resolution that passed today. Some people in your party voted to censure Representative Green. You said something earlier that really piqued my interest, which was you said the Democrats should not be listening to John Fetterman. I think he's maybe your most authentic voice. Who's a better representative, Green or Fetterman for the Democratic Party?
And but on that point, Fetterman is a senator from a very critical state. I mean, why not listen to John Fetterman?
Because I think John Fetterman is doing what is popular at the time. I'm not necessarily sure that John Fetterman is being driven by what is best for his districts or his district or his constituents. What I was trying to say is that I don't actually think that there should be a politician that should be driving the messaging. I think that if Democrats are smart, they'd be putting ads of people who've been impacted all across the country. The reality is Democrats have 2 years before we have a 20-person primary, and people can make their case for running for president all they want in 2 years. But for the next 2 years, we need to be telling the story of the people.
Yes, if Fetterman wants to let him run. That's because we are the Big Ten party.
Right now, we shouldn't be.
You said we shouldn't be listening to him.
Well, I personally do not think that we should be listening to him, but I also don't think that people should be trying out for the presidency right now. I think that we should be listening to voters and highlighting the stories of people impacted. That is the only way that we are going to get to voters, because voters do not trust politicians.
So that's a great question. Who is the voice of the Democrat Party right now?
The people.
I think the people.
The people.
And again, we have a big tent.
The ones that have said that the Democrats in Congress have a 20% approval
Yes,
rating.
and so you know what you do to change things? You know what you do? You listen. You don't just say, you know what, when you get a bad grade in school, you can say, I'm going to stay at a D level, or I'm going to work my tail off to become an A student. We have work to do over the next...
So what's the change? I mean, I'm honestly asking, what's the change? You listen to the American people. What are you hearing, and what's the change of the Democrats in
I'm
Congress
so glad you asked that question. Here's what we are hearing. We are hearing from people, I'm afraid for my livelihood. Everything is so uncertain. Why am I getting fired from the VA when I served my country in the military for 20 years? What is going on? Am I going to be safe? Am I going to be securely housed? Those are questions that are very important. And someone once asked me, if you were in charge, what is the one thing you would focus on? I would focus on a massive investment in housing. We have a housing crisis in this country. And the tariffs that are being given by Canada, that's affecting the cost of lumber. That's driving up the cost of everything. We know that we need more people in the building trades. We need a supply chain that's reliable, but we need to build more housing. But
so why didn't you do that in the 4 years that Biden was there and you controlled the House and the Senate?
We tried to pass a bill. We tried to pass
But you controlled the House and the Senate. So why didn't you just pass
there's a thing called the filibuster that prevented it from being
I
passed.
don't think anybody filibustered housing.
I know nobody filibustered housing.
Build Back Better?
Yeah, no one had 60 votes. You know that. So, Abby, I want to come back to one thing, Abby, though. So we were talking a lot about Al Green on the floor and what happened. But I want to remind folks, the Democrats are not the only people who've had these types of passionate outbursts during a State of the Union or an address. Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert were howling and screaming at Joe Biden. Joe Wilson screamed, "You lie," at Obama. So I don't want you all to understand that what happened with Al Green, he said he was going to take the consequences, but he was very focused on one important message. You do not have a mandate to cut Medicaid.
All right, Congresswoman Strickland, thank you very much for joining us for that conversation. Coming up next, the panel is going to give us their nightcaps. They'll tell us what they want to be turned into a reality show that's inspired by one of the best known board games.